details, facts, observations, there can be incidents. All of them are called details. And we use details in order to develop any topic, in order to shape and then season our topic. So we have central message, we have topic, our central topic. And now using our voice, we describe this topic. So voice actually decides, are we really positive about this thing or negative in the first place? Also, it helps the reader feel you. It really helps the reader to identify their position. Are you really for the thing that's demonstrated in this piece of writing, or should you feel against that? So your voice kind of gives power to this kind of decisions. Next thing is imagery. That's the verbal representation of sense experience. We all know that sensory experience and their description is really important in memoir writing. So rather than describing things, you should write them as you see or as you hear. Or when you write, the food was delicious, it's just telling. You are telling, but there is no voice in it. And readers cannot really feel how delicious this dish was. Instead of this, you can say, I could feel the smell of the red peppers and the hot sauce. And my mouth started, let's say, and I started feeling the hunger in my stomach. This kind of things really helps you to maintain the voice throughout your writing. It really helps the reader to capture the whole story as an image. That's why using imagery and sensory experiences are essential. When you are describing things, stop there and try to change it. Instead, just write it as you see it. Write it in such a way that the reader can imagine everything as if they are experiencing it right now. So these kind of things, diction, detail, and imagery, helps to develop your voice and helps you deliver your core message successfully as you have intended. If you cannot use your voice correctly, then a very positive story that you are bringing up may turn negative, or a very negative story. For example, something that really hurt you in the past can come up to be positive, or you could not really give the impression that you intended in the first place if you don't have a trained voice. In order to train your voice, try to read a lot, because reading is actually helps you improve your voice. And as you read lots of works, you will be able to identify different kinds of voice, and you will automatically know which words really deliver the message that you want to and which words are out of use. So here our language knowledge also plays a vital role. So you have to really do a little bit research on word knowing, and dictionaries and other stuff should be your helpful guides in using correct voice in your writing. So always check your writing against language. Well, next, point of view. We all know what is point of view and we are able to use it correctly, but there are some things that you should know about point of view in memoir writing. So actually, point of view is that's what personal pronoun we use in our writing. In memoir writing, it's widely accepted. It's even like a rule that we use first person narrative. First person singular narrative is very widely used, but sometimes first person plural narrative is also used in purposes of memoir writing. But here you have to identify, is your narrator your protagonist or your main hero? Or is this narrator just telling the story, but story is built around another character? Sometimes it can be very confusing. And when we write in the first person narrative in memoirs, we easily confuse and we just make ourselves mean heroes, protagonists. But maybe in your story, it wasn't you who was the protagonist. You wanted to write about a neighbor, about the mother, but because of the language, because of the incorrect version of point of view, Your story came up as your story. So that's the story about you. Pay attention to this. So from the beginning, try to maintain the relationship between the narrator and the protagonist. It's okay that sometimes narrator is the protagonist. In our cases, we write about ourselves, we write about our lives. So here, central character is us. And we use first person singular, I. And this I really represents the protagonist. But sometimes it cannot be the case because your memories are not only about you. They include people that have touched your life. That's why you have to really differentiate between the narrator and the protagonist when choosing point of view. And as a summary of 4 types of point of view, as you guys already know, we have first person narrative. So I am telling the story. And the second person narrative, you is telling the story. And the third person limited narrative, that's he or she just tells the story, but doesn't go really inside the story. And we have third person omniscient narrative, which is all our powering, and that's about he or she, and narrator has full access to the thoughts of all characters. And actually, this kind of limited or omniscient narration can be used in the first person as well. While you are writing in the first person, I think I had unstable connection for a moment. Sorry for that. This kind of things can really happen during the online workshop. That's actually one of the downsides of having online workshops. So sorry for the internet connection. So I think we were in the, so let me find this out. We were right here. So we were talking about the 4 types of point of view. And when writing in first person, you can also be a limited narrator. So you write about other people, you include other people in your story, and you cannot really fully describe their feelings and their thoughts. Or you can be omniscient or all-knowing first-person narrator who has access to everyone's thoughts and everyone's feelings. So it's good to identify these points, especially when you are editing your work, because when you edit and when you submit your work, you will be required to prepare a small outline of your work, and you will be asked what's your main topic, what's your point of view, what's your, let's say, type of narration. So identifying this just adds to your knowledge of writing in any kind of writing, not only in memoir writing. The next one is musing. So what is musing? That's the ongoing attempt to arrive at answers. The definition gives the insight that musing is actually you have a question in mind and you could answer to this question. And this process in your memoirs are called musing. Memoir is about perception. So this is how we perceive the world, how we perceive our history, how we perceive the things that has happened around us. And this kind of perception is really important because it will create the events, it will create the events in a way that we really wanted to see it. Probably you had a question in mind when you started writing, and then you came up with an answer. So your question can be different, and sometimes it would be even difficult to put it into a question format. So whatever inner conflict or confusion or attempt, any kind of, let's say, underlying thing to write this piece of writing you had, that is your conflict, actually. That's the question that you asked. And throughout your writing, you should muse it. You should somehow address to the answer. For example, if you write about a mother who abandoned you when you were a child, then probably you have the question why inside. Even if you don't ask this question in your writing really makes it clear that you are searching for the answers. And at the end of your writing, you should somehow give answer to that inner question that you have been asking, even though you didn't directly ask. So there can be a conflict, for example, a conflict situation or misunderstanding that you have mentioned in your writing. So throughout your writing, you should come up with the resolution or answer to this. And this is called musing. And this is actually resolution in memoir writing. And these parts, these elements really make up your story, and these are important in building a successful memoir. Knowing them will improve your knowledge of writing a memoir. And I'm sure that when you are able to easily identify these elements, next time when I give you a topic, or next time when you relate to your memory and write a memoir, you can easily build your memoir because you now know uh, what kind of elements you need. For example, if you are building a house, you know that you need bricks, you need doors, you need what else? You need just building materials, and you are sure about it, right? So when you are writing in memory, and if you know what elements you are required to follow up, now you have all your products, and you can build it easier this time. So please keep in mind and try to work a little bit on this elements on your own writing and on the writing of others. Now, I have a memoir here to analyze. Probably I will send it to the group as well, and that is a teenager's memoir. So this memoir is very short one, and after reading it, I want you to identify the core message of this memoir, and then theme of this memoir, voice, point of view, and resolution. We can try to do it here because it will give us some insight into how to analyze this. So of course, we will get through the reading. It's not okay to skim memoirs because fiction is not for skimming. It's not academic material. You should really read it, every word, every phrase, and you should really feel the writer's feelings. So when we go through this, we would be able to identify what is the core message. And then we have to write this core message in one sentence. Then we should find the theme. What is the topic? Probably, what is this memoir about? You should be able to write the theme in one word or in a phrase maximum. And then you should identify voice. What is the voice? Is it a positive voice? Is it a commanding voice? Is it a negative one? Is it a sad voice? Is it overpowering voice? So you should be able to identify what kind of, let's say, command this writing is giving to you. And then point of view. That's probably the easiest one. Is it the first person narrator? Third person? Is it limited or all-knowing? And of course, resolution, which means that what happened? Did you get the answer that you read in the beginning of the writing, or did the writer really give you the let's say culmination that you have expected? So identifying these elements will help you to build up the story again. I will send this sample story in our group today, and I will give you some time to, let's say, to analyze it. At the end, I will send the correct answers, and you will just check how much you were close to identifying these 5 elements of the given story. After doing this, you will have a homework till the next week. First of all, you will identify the elements of all the elements, all 5 elements of one of the works of the participants. In our Telegram group, we have already many memoirs, short ones, long ones, completed ones, the ones that are still draft. So just pick any one work from your group and then identify 5 elements. When you have identified these 5 elements, please post it on the group again. Doing this, you will help the author, and you will also, maybe you will just start some kind of discussion. Maybe someone won't agree with you. Maybe they saw a different message in this piece of writing, and doing so, you will improve each other's writing. So you will identify elements of one of the works of your group mates, and then you will post it on our group. Second one is, please try to rewrite your story. And when rewriting, you should really disintegrate your writing into elements. See the elements clearly and put down what's your core message, what is your theme, what is your point of view, voice, and what is your resolution, what is the question and what is the answer. So when you have identified these elements in your work, send it to me by a short email. And if you have finished, include your second draft as well. If you have done good job, if you have edited your work as I have required, probably you will not really have to edit it one more time. If your work is ready for proofreading, I will not ask you to submit the final draft, and we will just proofread your work, and probably your work would be ready for the e-publication. But if you have some shortcomings, then I will be giving you feedbacks and we will be helping you out to improve your writing. So you are about to identify the elements of your own memoir and then send it to me by a short email and plus your second draft. So I'm sure that you have very busy lives and it's not really easy. Yes, it's not probably that easy as you have expected. It's easy to pour your heart into the paper, write a memoir. But if you want it to be a type of writing that catches its readers and that becomes published, then you will have to a little bit work on it because it requires more than writing and expressing yourself. You will need to include all necessary elements. You will need to make a little bit research on the language, and you will have to edit and improve your writing so that it would be well accepted by the readers. So these are basically your homework for the next week. Do you guys have any questions? Well, actually, no question is not a good question. I'm sure that you have some questions in mind. Maybe you're feeling shy, or maybe you are just second thinking, if I ask this question now, will I look stupid or something? Is it really okay? Okay, I will just identify. No, don't be like that. It's okay. If you have questions at any point, you can post it on group, or if you want to ask it privately, you can send me email anytime. And please start improving your work so that next week we should be able to collect works that are completed and ready, and they will be included in our final e-publication. And regarding the certificates, I have received some questions today. Yes, you will receive certificates at the end of this workshop. This workshop ends at the end of February. So you should write at least 5 memoirs, but even if you have completed 2 or 3 memoirs throughout this workshop, you should be able to receive certificate of completion from the United States Embassy. So we will give certificates at the end, and hopefully if we can, if there are no restrictions regarding the current COVID situation, we can even meet up at the end and embassy representatives can give you the certificates in person, hopefully. Okay, thank you so much for participating today. If you have any questions, any suggestions, anytime, just keep in touch. Well, thank you for participating again. And keep writing, because this is how you should sharpen your pen. If you don't write, you won't become a writer, right? Well, I'll see you next week. Throughout the week, please work on your draft and identify the elements, one of your partner's works and your own. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time.
Everything is clear. Thank you.
Glad to hear that. Take a good care and have a nice weekend ahead. We will meet next time.
Can we email our questions,
Yes,
which
sure.
is not related to today's topic, but about writing memoir?
Sure, why not?
Thank you so much.
Okay. See you next time.
Thanks.
Take a good care.
Bye bye.